Hello, everybody. This is Serpent Stinger, and today I'm going to be joined by my Twitch chat. If anyone happens to be watching, today we are going to be reacting to a new video, Hogwarts Legacy. I can't believe that this news today. It's actually happening by Open World Games. It was released 14 hours ago and already has 15K views. This will be interesting. I still like playing Hogwarts Legacy. I've enjoyed the game dramatically. So we're going to be checking this video out. So without further ado, let's see what the new news is. I'm always interested for new gaming news.
All right, so here we go. So yes, it was just confirmed that Hogwarts Legacy is here to stay pretty
course.
much indefinitely.
I mean, that's
and
not
this
surprise.
franchise is only getting started today. We have big news
Okay,
about
yeah,
the
I mean,
sequel, why it's
oh,
set to PlayStation 6 and the next Xbox, a rumored Hogwarts Legacy HBO series, I kid you not.
Wait,
and
what?
how to get your hands on exclusive Hogwarts Legacy attire. Plus, I'm going over your top comments because this time you guys have some amazing tips that everyone needs to be paying attention to.
Wait a second, wait a
You
second.
are missing out on this, so stay tuned.
Wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. They've already talked about the sequel? Okay, this will be interesting.
To the end of the video. And yes, check this out right here.
I thought this was going to be
Wait till you
something
see
about
what this guy
DLC.
can do. Uh-oh, looks like my champions are battling a raid
Ah,
boss.
yes.
We'll have to find out what happens
Raid
in
Shadow
Hogwarts, but
Legends.
What you are seeing here is Raid
Good
Shadow
job.
Legends, the ultimate
You got
MMO
one of the best
RPG
sponsors
offering
from what
over
I've heard.
700 champions, and it's available right now for free on
And yes, we are going to watch his
Click
ad.
the link in the description below to download for free and join me right now. Plus, new players can
If I'm
enjoy
going to
a
react to the
special
guy's content, I'm
Valentine's
going to
Day
let his
adventure
ad play.
with the limited time raid quest called Raid Love Quest. So grab your raid player ID, go to raidlovequest.plarium.com
Wait,
to find
what?
a special promo code that everyone can use to get a small Valentine's Day gift. Only available between February 14th to March 14th. And there's also in-game and real-life prizes on the line by playing Raid's new Valentine's Day themed mini-games, including Amazon gift cards worth up to $1,000.
That you will then
new
spend on the
Valentine's Day
game.
themed champions as well. Oh, and if you're looking to enhance your arena team, this month's Prime Gaming Drop for Raid features Gimbo the Dishonored, a powerful Void champion who is super powerful in PvP. He's available until March 2nd, so don't miss out. Alright, so back to the raid boss I mentioned earlier. So I unlocked this new champion recently, and I upgraded him quite a bit, and wow, he really does dish out some major damage.
This game has always looked really fun, but I've played it, and maybe I didn't give it the fair shot that it did. I only played it for like an hour or two, but I'm not the biggest fan of like hero shard games like this, gotcha games with hero like shards.
New players, use my link in the description below or scan the QR code on the screen and get a free starter pack with this cool in-game loot. I hope to see you in Raid Shadow Legends. Check out that link in the description below. All right, so let's get into the official news first. So yes, if you missed it, WB Games Avalanche confirmed this, another chance for the exclusive Merlin's Cloak Twitch drop.
Ooh.
Remember this? If you missed out on obtaining this beautiful cloak, you can tune in on their Twitch
channel. It looks good outside of game, but from what I've heard in game, it doesn't look the best.
All the details in the description below, as well as how to actually redeem your cloak, because there's some confusion about that. But let's talk about the Hogwarts Legacy sequel. So
yes, please. I want to know what this is.
Hogwarts Legacy sequels seemingly confirmed, and you'll notice that they put sequel as plural. So it seems like we might have actually more than just one Hogwarts.
Okay. Who did you get this from, though? That's what matters.
Into what the article goes on to say, shall we? And we're gonna get into the PlayStation 6 bit. Now it goes on to say this right here: after struggling to recreate the magic of Harry Potter film franchise with the lackluster spin-off trilogy Fantastic
Okay, I like Fantastic
Warner Bros.
Beasts
has
a bit.
finally struck galleons anew with its latest piece of Wizarding World IP video game, Hogwarts Legacy. Let me know if you're a fan of Fantastic Beasts or not, or if you felt like that was underwhelming. Yeah, I think
I enjoyed
Fantastic Beasts to perform way better. And here we are, a video game outperforming a movie. What a shock. It actually
not really
happened. Now, it goes on to say this.
Games can outperform movies easily.
Right here, Warner Bros. Sees Hogwarts Legacy as a long-term franchise. And yes, that means that perhaps we would be getting a lot from Hogwarts Legacy in terms of sequels and maybe even spin off products beyond gaming, which we're going to get
Eh,
into the rumored HBO TV
we'll
series, which is
see.
going to be feeding
We'll
off of
see about
Hogwarts
that
Legacy
one.
and be its own thing, apparently. But yeah, there's some really interesting stats
I
here
just,
as well.
I
Check
just
it out.
wanted
It
to
says
get to
per
things.
updated stats provided to
Thank you.
Variety on Tuesday by Warner Bros. Games, Hogwarts Legacy has now seen 267 million hours played, 393 million magical plants grown, 242 million potions brewed, and 1.25 billion dark wizards
Of course,
defeated.
there's that many Dark
Wow,
Wizards
that
defeated.
is
I'm
absolutely
surprised they
crazy and
didn't talk
shows
about
how
how many
busy
goblins have been
we all
defeated.
have been now. You're probably wondering, hey, Robbie, what about the PlayStation 6 news? Can you please tell us where you're getting this information from? So, check out the headline right here. It says big budget games that started production today would be for PlayStation 6, says industry expert. And we're going to get into
Eh,
the entire in depth reasoning behind this and tie it into Hogwarts Legacy
I
2, the
don't
sequel.
really
Now,
see
it
that
says the
because
following right here. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier took to Twitter to write, fun fact, video game production cycles have gotten so long that if a big budget game studio started working on a brand new project today, it would likely be for PlayStation 6. Let's break this down. There were 6 years between PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, followed by another 6 years between the PS2 and PS3. The gap between PS3 and PS4 extended to 7 years. Now, the PlayStation 5 was released 7 years after that. And you got to start asking yourself, well, when was the PlayStation 5 released? That was November 12th, 2020. So we're basically nearly halfway there for the life cycle of the PlayStation 5, which is pretty crazy. So if they did
okay, let's talk about this for real quick. So what that person's saying is basically if a new game from a big company, like let's say a AAA company, were to be coming out right now, it would be they'd be designing to a PS6. That's not entirely wrong, but I disagree with the idea that a Hogwarts Legacy would be designed for a PlayStation 6 simply because of the fact that one, it's not going to take them as long to make the next Hogwarts Legacy game if they were to make one, simply because they already have a large chunk of the world designed, built, lore's been put in, areas have been put in, Hogwarts has been built. And a large chunk of building Hogwarts Legacy to work the way it was designing the combat system, designing the map, making the Hogwarts castle recreated to in lore specifications. They don't have to do that for the next game. They literally have everything they need already pre-built. So, and all they'd have to really do is maybe add an extra area or something to the map or change some things in the map, which would add time, but it wouldn't be as monumental. So you're not looking at a complete recreation. They are going to use assets from the previous game, the same combat system most likely. So it wouldn't take years and years and years. We wouldn't be looking at like a game that might require like what, 5 years? I would say it would be more likely if they were to do a sequel, if they didn't work on any DLC or anything else, and they just decided to start with the sequel like right this second. I would say it would probably be like 3, 4 years. Looking at other games that like popped up, hell, it could be technically earlier. Depends on what they do for a second game, if they were to. But with it being 3 to 4 years, I wouldn't see it being a PlayStation 6 game unless they purposely delayed it to do that. And another thing is that's also presuming that the PlayStation 6 comes out in 7 years. I would say the thing is the consoles are going to be created slower and slower the higher tech they become because one, they have to find a way to make the manufacturing cost cheap enough that they can actually make a profit off of it. Two, after what happened with the PS5 where they completely sold out of copies and people legitimately couldn't get to them, and then people were buying them and then selling them back, like with all of that kind of stuff happening, they're going to make sure that they're most likely going to make sure that the next time that they sell it, that won't happen as easily. So I don't know if we're going to even be seeing a PlayStation 6 in 5 years. We might not see a PlayStation 6. Well, technically, it'd be like 3 years. It'd be like 4 years, but not at this current month. You know what I mean? Uh, it's just I'm thinking that it's probably going to be extended to an 8 year cycle, simply because we're getting to the point where, sorry, we're getting to the point where consoles are getting beefier and stronger, which also means that those consoles are getting more expensive to make, and it's getting harder and harder for them to not just be PCs. So, uh, it's rough to say. I don't think we're going to be seeing a Hogwarts Legacy sequel on a new console, though. I just don't.
Start new pre-production and development of Hogwarts Legacy 2, the sequel today. It would most likely release on the PlayStation 6 and the next Xbox, and I would imagine that it would still, of course, release on PlayStation 5, but yeah, no way that it would ever release on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, of
Oh, hell
course.
no.
So this would be like the next gen, I guess you would say, of games. But this also applies to any other AAA game that is going into production as of today. Expect those games to take years and years to create and target PlayStation 6. And of course, again, PlayStation 5. But those next gen consoles are now being heavily considered in the development process right now. And
That I can
goes
agree
on to
with.
say this as well. With this in mind, we could expect to see a PlayStation 6 console potentially releasing in 2027. Now, Schreier's tweet specifies projects that are starting now, placing a AAA game's production life cycle at around 4 to 5 years long. I'll admit it sounds about right. It's certainly a strange thought to comprehend. The PlayStation 5 still feels so new.
A AAA game's production life cycle at around 4 to 5 years. I'd love to know what stats they're using to decide that, because that's not always the case. We've seen games made by AAA studios that could be considered AAA games that don't take 4 to 5 years. I'd have to go back and research it exactly to make sure I'm correct on this. But usually that comes from games that are sequels in most cases. Not things like you could make the argument of like Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West, they were a large chunk apart, but again, for Horizon Forbidden West was a completely different map. You're not talking about reutilizing the same map. When I'm thinking about this, like I don't see how like a large. It's not really a fully new game. It's hard to say. Like I would expect it to be something more akin to something more akin to, like, Genshin Impact, I guess you could say, how like, every, like, 6 or so months, they add, like, a new area to the map. I would expect, like, a Hogwarts Legacy sequel to basically reutilize the same map, add something new, and then have a completely different story, most likely using your character in in the next year of their schooling. So, I don't see how that would take 4 to 5 years to develop. Unless they are specifically targeting, like, new generation of tech, or or they're completely overhauling systems, like adding a karma system, adding a, like, romance system. Like, I could see if they're trying to if they overhaul some things that weren't in Hogwarts Legacy, I could see that taking a while. Then I could understand, like, a 4 to 5 year development cycle if they're completely overhauling certain portions. But without them overhauling things, I just don't see a Hogwarts Legacy sequel taking that long. They already have the combat system, they already have so much built that they can just piggyback off of.
perhaps because PlayStation 5 exclusives are so thin on the ground still. Yeah, it feels like there's still so much untapped potential with the PS5 right now, and I cannot wait to see what they do, even with, franchises like God of War. But maybe, just maybe, they're already considering PlayStation 6 for the God of War franchise at this point. That they're like, hey, it is
If there are, if I hate that I keep pausing to do this, but if they're already considering the PlayStation 6, I would say that the PlayStation 5 is probably one of the least utilized consoles because there just isn't a lot of things on PS5 that you can't just get a better experience playing on PC. Like, there's just not a lot of things on PlayStation 5 where I'm like, yeah, this was a good reason to pick up the PS5. The only ones that immediately come to my brain were like Demon Souls Remastered. Like, that's the only thing that jumps out. Like, I enjoy playing on consoles, but, like, I just don't see a reason why why you would play on console when you can play on PC and have, like, single player games with mods and all this other stuff. Like, the only thing that I enjoy about, one of the things I enjoy about PlayStation was the PlayStation, Plus, game catalog. It got me to be able to try a lot of old games that I never got a chance to, but for new games, like, it just doesn't seem worth it. And if they were to just release a PS6 without anything else really big hitting the PS5, I would strongly consider not even picking up a PlayStation 6 immediately. It's just not worth it
time
to
to
get stuck
get going. And I've heard
in this
that they are
corridor.
considering PlayStation 6 over like a pro version of PlayStation 5. That's another rumor that has been circling around. Will that be
I've
true?
heard that rumor
We'll
too.
have to wait and find out. But you're probably wondering, hey, Robbie, what about Hogwarts Legacy and, the promised versions for PS4 and Xbox One? So, yeah, we did have some words about that recently. Check it out right here. It says, we are very pleased with the initial launch and see a bright future for our other platform launches as well. This comes from WB Games, and they have not abandoned PS4 or Xbox One. I'm curious to see how that's going to turn out compared to, say, Cyberpunk launching on those platforms, because
Well,
I'm not too sure how this game is going to.
here's the thing. Cyberpunk went for a way crazier level of graphics, and more importantly, the Cyberpunk was basically the PS5 game was put on a PS4. That's basically what they did. They're not launching from my understanding, they're not launching the PS5 game on the PS4. They're The reason it's taking so long is that they're changing things about it to make it so that the PS4 can run it. So it's probably going to be able to run it. They're not, let's be honest. There's a game company's probably not going to be as stupid as Cyberpunk's was for the launch of Cyberpunk because Cyberpunk happened. They don't want to be compared to Cyberpunk.
Even manage on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, considering the immense detail in the actual Hogwarts castle itself. I think they're going to have to water that down big time for it to even make it on those platforms, unfortunately. We'll have to see what happens, though. Could be wrong. They might be able to pull off a miracle here. But yeah, you're probably also wondering, hey, Robbie, what about the HBO TV series? This rumored Hogwarts HBO
This has like
TV series. So check it
no
out. It says a
proof
Hogwarts
to
Legacy
it.
TV show is
It's just
reportedly in
articles.
development at HBO Max. It's claimed the series will be based on Warner's recently launched fantasy game. I would not be surprised if this is true, because
I wouldn't be either.
HBO is extremely interested in gaming IPs right now. And I imagine even more so after the immense success that is The Last of Us, that they're going to want to immediately rotate over the next best thing, which right now is definitely Hogwarts Legacy.
Let's talk about that real quick. Games are an untapped potential for movies and TV shows. They really are. Same thing with like anime. Anime constantly gets live actions done of it, but they never really do well because the live actions just can't seem to capture the things that anime can. So they just don't usually work out well, especially with depending on like the actors they get, depending on the screenwriting, the special effects. Like it just doesn't work. games has been in a similar situation where there haven't really been good video game TV shows or movies until recently. I haven't actually watched I haven't actually watched the Last of Us TV show, but I've only heard good things about it. And I've watched a bit of Witcher, and I think Witcher was really good up until like the more recent season or whatever the back half of it was. I just remember watching the first couple of episodes and being really impressed with it. But of course, it's more based off of the books than the games, but at the same time, the games are based off of the books. My thing is, I think one of the biggest issues when it comes to video games and translating them to other media types is you need to capture what the game captured. And a large chunk of the time, people adapt things to movies. Things like video games to movies. It's not that easy to do because I can name one movie that did this actually very easily, the Percy Jackson movies. The Percy Jackson movies tried to adapt the Percy Jackson books to a movie, and it just doesn't work. Simply because of the fact that, one, they took scenes from multiple books and put them into the first movie and then made their own scenes like, oh yeah, this will do really well. It's like, no. The people that you're trying to appeal to are the fans of the books, and you are basically shitting on the books. You just can't build the characters up as well as in a movie as you can in a book. That's why TV shows work better because you have more screen time, you have a longer running show, and because it's in like 30-minute portions, or depending on the TV show, even an hour of like 40 to 45-minute portions, you can actually build and slowly develop the characters the way that the books do. It's the same thing with games. Games will slowly develop, especially in single player games, will slowly develop characters, and that doesn't translate well to movies. That's why I think a HBO targeting games is actually a very smart idea if they nail the concept of character building and world building done right. And I'm skeptical on how they're going to do that if they do pick up a Hogwarts Legacy game, but we'll see.
Legacy and this game franchise has seen so much success because also it launched successfully with minimal bugs and problems compared to, say, like Cyberpunk 2077. So there's going to be a lot of interest in this franchise outside of gaming. So yeah, I would not be surprised if this turned out to be true. But I'm curious, would you guys prefer a full-blown movie franchise, or do you prefer TV
TV.
series for
TV
something
would
like
be far better.
Hogwarts Legacy? Now, it goes on to say this. That's according to sources cited by Giant Freaking Robot, an entertainment news site with some track record of exclusive reporting. So that just means to take this all with a grain of salt. Of course, this is
I
not
mean, I'm going to
100%
take everything
confirmed
that he's saying
by
with a grain of salt.
Games whatsoever. It is a rumor circling around. We'll see if there's any truth to it, but man, I would not be surprised if it's true. Now it says it claims the
I'm
series
going to
is
take
still
everything
in
with
the
this like
early
with a grain of
phases
salt
of
though.
development, but that like
There's no
one of
real
the recently
citation
released
of
Hogwarts
like
Legacy
proof
game
besides
will
articles,
presumably
and
be set
I'm not going
before
to go
the
hunt those
original
articles
Harry
down.
Potter novels and the Fantastic Beasts spin-offs. I would love this if it was set in the 1800s. They could do so much with this and make it feel so cool. Yeah, so we'll see if it turns out to be true. Let me know what you would like to see from it. But it's time to go over your top comments. Remember to leave a comment down below for a chance for it to end up right here in a future video. Let's check out what my most recent video was about right here. It says, unexpected and exciting news from the devs, all new updates. If you missed this video, check it out. There was some news about DLC is not happening for Hogwarts Legacy. That's
Yeah,
no long-term
that's
future.
what I
And then
thought.
there was a dev that came out and countered this saying, yo, slow down. We just said at the moment, and we're not planning DLC right now or announcing anything simply because the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions are not out. That would be rude to announce that we're working on DLC. So, yeah, we
which
might
is fair.
actually get some long term support for Hogwarts Legacy. All right, so Raw815 says this: I'd like to actually see house point rewards and an actual house cup, probably something that would end up tied into Quidditch being released. It's briefly mentioned here and there from teachers, but no actual change in the hourglasses from what I can tell. Yeah,
Yeah,
this seems like
that'd
it's
be
part of the
a
plan,
good
This
change.
did not happen because of development time, resources, that sort of thing. That's the development process. They really knew what to go after and not overwhelm the team, it seems. And I think that was a wise decision, to be honest with you. Yeah, it would have been cool if they could hire an entire team to focus on Quidditch. Maybe they can, after the success of Hogwarts, since it's been so immensely successful, they could be like, hey, we could hire more people. We could do what we want and have more freedom now. Now, let's keep
Hiring more people is not
going.
always the best thing to do in a
Orisa
game
says
development
this: I'd
cycle,
like to
though.
see an expansion that adds more roads, one that doesn't lead to Hogsmeade. For a
That's
second there,
fair.
I was like, more roads are being. Oh, and then I was like, oh, okay, you got me good on that one, I have to say. Now, Philly says this: I knew from the start it was way over exaggerated because originally in the gameplay previews, they stated we are more than glad to add more, but we won't be focusing on it until after the releasing to all platforms. As of now, it's not our main focus. Believe me, they aren't going to not release a minimum of one DLC, especially all the hype
Exactly.
around the game. And I did reply to this, and I agree. I think that it would be a huge mistake, and I think they also know it would be a huge mistake to not support this game
Kind of
long
like what
term.
Elden
It
Ring,
just seems
because Elden Ring hasn't
crazy.
ever released a
WB Games, as
DLC.
I mentioned to you guys beforehand,
That's
have
disappointed a lot of
supported
people.
games that have
I
sold
mean, unless you
less when
count
provided
the
season passes and stuff like that.
PvP
Honestly, I'm gonna say I'm glad that they
tournament
did not
thing.
have a season pass plan with this game. I feel like it somewhat diminishes the game's launch, and people start questioning, oh well, they're withholding content on purpose, and just becomes a whole issue. So hopefully they just release one massive big expansion. That's what I love. I want them to go
I could
back
see
to
them
that
season
more and more with
passing
gaming. They
a
went
Quidditch thing, but I don't
2077
think they're going to
happened
do
with
that.
Cyberpunk 2077 and Phantom Liberty. It's going to be this really big, massive expansion that I'm super hyped for. Now, Joe Taylor says, I've been craving a game with good character relationships and being choice driven. I miss the days of gaming such as Mass
Yes.
Effect and Dragon Age. Yeah, those games, I appreciate more and more each day. It just goes to show how rare it is for us to have those games because it's
You
also
see it more in
extremely
like
hard to develop
JRPGs
those games. I mean,
nowadays.
it takes practically a rocket scientist to actually make those games. Now, Banana Sean says the following: I got one for you. You can't imagine what travel was like before they invested flu powder. Yes, you can. It was probably a lot quieter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes to show how frustrating it is just to even fast travel in this world when you constantly hear the same lines of dialogue over
Mm-hmm.
and over again. Yeah, it's got
There
to be
needs to be an
fast.
option
It
to mute
really,
her.
really does need to happen. So hopefully we get some updates from WB Avalanche on that. Now, Iron Cookies says, sigh, guess my second playthrough is going to be a speed run now. Upside down smiley face. Zoom out on map to see lists for collectibles. At least one moon totem in every town. Wait until night. You can use Revelio. On your broom, you can freeze animals to capture and transmute farm animals. Plants are more powerful than you think. Don't underestimate your potions and plants. Yeah, it's something that I'm honestly learning
Yeah.
more and more with this game is in combat to use my plants. For some weird reason, I'm always neglecting them, but they are extremely
They're
useful
extremely
in
useful, but I just
combat.
don't
I
care
don't know
for
what
them.
my deal is. So, yeah, I'm definitely taking to that tip right there. And I agree. Use the plants for sure. There it is. The latest happenings around Hogwarts
Okay.
Legacy. Actually, the sequel, some exciting stuff there. So I would imagine again that it would.
Okay, that wasn't a bad video. I'm gonna give it a like, but I kind of wish that they said their sources a bit more and that there was a bit more proof to what they were saying. But because as far as I can see, it's just article blabber, and let's be honest, a large chunk of articles are either not true or just baloney, or they have like a grain of salt and then they over exaggerate it. But oh well. I hope you all enjoyed the video. This is Serpent Stinger, signing out.